Bochim and said, I made you to go up out of the land of Egypt. I brought you to a land which I swear unto your fathers, and I said, I will never break my covenant with you. Ye shall make no league or make no covenant with the inhabitants of the land. Ye shall throw down their altars, but you have not obeyed my voice. Why have you done this? Wherefore I also said, I will not drive them out before you, but they shall be as thorns in your sides, and their gods shall be a snare unto you. And it came to pass that when the angel of the Lord spake these things unto the children of Israel, that they lifted up their voice and wept. Yes, thank you so much for your submission. The key point was them disobeying and making liege or making covenants or intermingling with the people of the land. Yes, indeed, disobedience led to a number of things, like you talked about the captivity, which is a good example, and we shall award marks accordingly. Thank you so much.
Simeon, I want to first of all congratulate you for coming to this contest. I want to see who's going to be the second runners-up. So I hope all of us do well. So the question says, who did God raise up to deliver the distressed children of Israel out of the hands of the spoilers, and after which their own way? What do we learn from this as a church? Who did God raise up to deliver the distressed children of Israel out of the hands of the spoilers, and after which two circumstances would they return to do the things on their own way?
First, repeat the question.
I repeat the question. I said, who did God raise up to deliver the distressed children of Israel out of the hands of the spoilers, and after which two circumstances would they return to do the things their own way? What do we learn from this as a church? Okay, so we are in Judges chapter 2, verse 16 to 19.
God raised judges to deliver the children of Israel from the spoilers. These judges, they were named as the men of valor, and we can have, for example, we have
about Jerubbaal. Make a presentation about Jerubbaal in 2 minutes.
Okay, I'm going to give the preamble. The angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon when he was in the oak tree, and there he told him to go and deliver the children of Israel.
And their limits explicitly.
Why he didn't conquer the lowland? So
1 to 6.
The song, it was praising God for delivering his people wherever they ask him and they pray.
authenticity to prove that they speak about Mount Sinai and the terrible sin they had with God. And it shows us that the people of this time could actually recall events that are past. So the Bible is actually, in a way, trying to prove itself. Thank you for your submission. Your marks have been recorded.
Give at least 4 points of the description of the generation after Joshua, and which God did they serve? Which gods did they serve? What happened to them? "70 kings." Yes, and the reasons why they were cut off is because there were 8 scraps under his table. Yeah, thank you so much for the answer.
This goes to Simeon family. There are some that had not known the wars of Canaan, which nations were left by the Lord for the purpose of testing them, and what is described as the range of the territory for one of these nations. There are some in terms of generation that had not known. This is in the book of Judges. There are some that had not known the wars of Canaan, which nations were left by the Lord for the purpose of testing them, and what was the described range of the territories of one of these nations.
The last question.
What was the territory of one of those nations that was left behind? You will mention the nation, the nations, and one of them is explicitly given a range of territory where they inhabited.
Okay, the 5 nations that the Lord left to the children of Israel to teach them about war. The 5 cities, the 5 lords of the city of the Philistines. Then we have the mountain Lebanon from Leba Haman. Then the mountains of Leba Hamath, then we have Baal Haman, then we have the Sidonia, then we have Sidonia, then we have the ranges are Scorpion ranges.
Chronicles, and we're going to start from Simeon. We started with Asher, now we are starting with Simeon. Thank you. Listen carefully. So, what did Hadarezer give to David in
from these nations? The reference? Tyre.
Yeah.
Have 36 seconds.
The second one is Sidon.
Yes, thank you so much for your submission. Them also King David dedicated unto the Lord with silver and gold that he brought from the nations. In 1 Kings chapter 18 verse 11, Edom, Moab, Ammon, the Philistines, and Amalek. So Tyre and Sidon are not part of the list. Thank you so much for the submission.
Simeon, what had David learned in verse 1 to 16? How do you prove that there is something he was learning from using this same chapter? What had David learned in 1 Chronicles 15, 1 to 16? And how do you prove that there is
Okay. Because of the death of Uzzah, after touching the ark with the hand, David learned that it was not, the way they were carrying the ark was not proper, so it's the Levites who were to carry the arks. Yeah, only the Levites. Yeah. The proof is by the death of Uzzah. Yeah. David.
This goes to Asher family. Who despised David after looking out the window? Why did they do that? And what is their background? Who despised David after looking out the window? Why did they do that? And what, can you give us a brief of their background, who they were? And why? And why? 25 seconds.
You answer.
Why? Because they didn't like him as a king and they were against his rule.
Thank you so much for your submission, Simeon family.
Then Abdi.
15 seconds.
Okay, the ark was taken to Abinadab's home, and the Israelites worshipped there for a while. And then the place where it was called Perez.
Which location did the ox? To Obedinam's house for 3 months. I think you just mentioned Obedinam's house. So that's it. Thank you very much.
This is to Simeon family. Listen carefully. After David's anointing as king, who said, "Thou shalt not come thither," and whose son is responsible for putting down this defiance? After the anointing of David as king, who said, "Thou shalt not come thither," or "You shall not come this way," and whose son was responsible for putting down this defiance? Reference 1 Chronicles 11. All right, one more time. The son.
Thank you. This way.
Thank you so much for your submissions. Submission. 1 Chronicles 11:3 says, "Therefore came the elders of Israel to Hebron, and David made a sons, children of Saul, the sons were slain, and where were they slain?" The reference is 1 Chronicles 10.
Why did Saul die, and where was he buried? Why did Saul die, and where was he buried? Why did King Saul, die, and where was he buried? Why did King Saul die, and where was he buried?
Okay, the reason is because all his sons were killed, and the place where he was buried is Jerusalem.
You have 8 seconds. Yes, so the reason. Yes, Asha. This is for Asha. When did they begin to build the house of the Lord, as described in the book of 1 Kings? And what was the description of its windows? When did they begin to build the house of the Lord, as described in the book of 1 Kings? And what was the description of its windows?
They started building in the 4th year of King Solomon's reign, in the 2nd month of Ziph, and the windows were described as the windows of narrow light.
Correct, thank you.
This goes to Simeon. And it was written, all the earth sought to hear, also Solomon to hear his wisdom, which God had put in his heart. Mention 7 things that were brought to him as presents. I mark the number. It was written, or it is written, sorry. All the earth sought Solomon to hear his wisdom.
There were spices.
Kindly.
There were spices, talents, precious stones.
Thank you so much.
So what are the dimensions of the house of the Lord and the porch? What are the dimensions of the house of the Lord and the porch?
The dimensions of the house of the Lord were length 90 feet, breadth.
Yes, and the porch before the temple of the house was 20 cubits, was the length thereof according to the breadth of the house, and 10 cubits for the breadth thereof before the house. So
members of that temple.
Opened in 1 Kings 8:41 to 43, and he also prayed for the foreigners and the strangers that would come. Thank you.
This goes to Simeon. Describe the throne of Solomon, making a hint of 5 major aspects of
which Asher family? Which foodstuffs did Solomon offer to Hiram? What quantities were they? Which foodstuffs did King Solomon, and what quantities were they? And correct, thank you.
This is to Simeon family. How is the prophecy concerning the house of Eli in Shiloh fulfilled? Give us at least a chapter where this is mentioned.
To 2 Kings, Adonijah went to Bathsheba, the mother, and requested that Abishag the Shunammite should be given to him as a wife. So he asked Bathsheba to go and ask King Solomon. Now when Bathsheba went, King Solomon said, "Why do you ask for Abishag the Shunammite to be given to..."
And explain how it came to pass, and what does it teach us about the true prophets from the Lord. Said Deborah prophesied. We in Judges. Deborah prophesied. Tell us what she prophesied. Explain how it came to pass.
Deborah prophesied to the children of Israel that Barakah would deliver them from their oppressors. And this teaches us that God is always faithful and He is able to deliver us from any situation or any difficulty.
See that Deborah prophesied was, "The Lord shall sell Sisera into the hand of the woman." That is the prophecy that is in Judges 4, verse 9. Yes, and what does it teach? Is that the prophecy surely came to pass. So surely all the prophets of God, whatever they prophesy, must surely come to pass. So the narrative is in Judges chapter 4, verse 17 to 23, how that prophecy of Sisera being sold into the hand of a woman was fulfilled. Thank you.
Happy Sabbath, everyone. Is it Happy Sabbath? Happy New Sunday, everyone. We are going to just sing.
Life, I crown thee now. In the usher tone. In the usher tone, King of my life, I crown thee now. King of my life, guarded thee while thou slept, lest I forget Gethsemane, lest I forget thine agony, lest I forget Gethsemane, to Calvary. May I be with to bear daily my cross for thee, even thy cup of grief to share. Thou hast borne all for me, lest I fall. Chorus once again. Lest I forget Gethsemane, lest I forget thine agony, lest I forget thy love for me. Lead me.
And the first one is thanking both families for making it this far. It is not easy. My family was knocked out earlier. And it is Asha. Now, after 15 rounds of 64%, ladies and gentlemen,